Oh, welcome, guys. I'm so happy to have you here on this very special day. We are doing, Larry and Friends. Yes, it is a talk and fundraiser for, you guessed it, the governor campaign that I am busting my rump trying to make things happen. But you know what happened recently? Some actual good news. There isn't always good news in this campaign, but sometimes there is. And this one, there was some very good news. And that was Elise Stefanik, the Republican frontrunner, has indeed walked away from the campaign. I did warn you all. I told you she had no campaign. I told you she had no policy. I told you she didn't want to run, and she proved me right. I told you that if she drops out, I can win. I've been saying that since I've been walking around. Remember, I said, if I drop out, she still loses. If she drops out, I win. Well, she dropped out. So with her dropping out, what does that mean? That means that right now, it is more important than ever that you support this campaign. No matter where you are in the country, whether you're in New York, New Jersey, California, wherever you are, Kansas, Missouri, doesn't matter. Wherever you are, now is the right time to support this campaign. Why? And right now, because I'm going to be announcing how much I raised as of January. So if you guys give me lots of money, as you should right now, what will happen? I will look very good, and they will go, oh my God, Larry Sharpe actually can win this thing, and he actually will beat the governor herself, Kathy Hochul, and we will turn New York State around. New York State will go gold before it goes red. We know this. If Stefanik was going to win, she'd have stayed in. We know that, right? She bailed. She recognized what I said. It is an unwinnable race. Once recognizing that, she walked away. And good for her. She walked away. She go do her own thing. She took a bunch of Republican money. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the money and actually run a campaign. You've seen me do it. I've told you more than once. No one will out hustle me. That's not a thing. No one will out campaign me. That's not a thing. No one will out debate me. That's not a thing. So let me be clear. With Elise Stefanik, the Republican frontrunner, dropping out, now is the perfect time for you, anywhere you live in America, New York, Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, Ohio, Missouri, doesn't matter where you are, to donate now. If you donate now, you are ensuring that I can step up in there and actually win this thing and change the country and change the entire nation. Imagine Mamdani, a socialist, wins mayor of New York City, and then Larry Sharpe, a libertarian, wins governor of New York. The entire nation changed. Now's the time. Make that happen now. LarrySharpe.com/donate. Guys, thanks so much for that. I want to make sure you guys heard that, understand that, are getting that deeply. But I have something else I want to talk about today. And this is what I always talk about. Ways to fix things. Actual ideas and policies, issues that you are concerned about that are affecting you and other states. New York State, as you all know, leads the nation in most things bad, right? California does too, but usually New York's worse. Take that, California. So yes, usually we're the worst. With that in mind, I'm going to talk about how these things are going to affect us, to include, more importantly, tech, AI, energy, things like that. And I brought with me today someone who is very much involved in this, follows this tremendously. He is a tech entrepreneur. He is a former Libertarian Party presidential candidate and a friend of mine, the man, the myth, the legend, Lars Mapstead. How are you, sir?
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Larry.
Happy that you are here today. I love what we're talking about. This is going to be doing great. So I want to bring up, I think, the most important thing that people aren't talking about, and that is the jobs that aren't coming back. And what I mean by that is, you know this, but make sure the audience gets this. The American economy very often sheds jobs. That's not a crazy thing that it sheds jobs. But in the past, it always brings them back in some way. So you could lose 10,000 jobs, but you gain 25,000. So who cares, right? So people are, if someone is changing jobs and raising money on their own world while they're, changing jobs and getting a raise, who cares? But people are getting fired or laid off, and there's no job. They're not replacing them. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, that's sort of true at the moment, but there's a new kind of eddy in the river right now. And what that is that we're going to see the rise of entrepreneurialism across America. That the new jobs are not going to be jobs where you work for somebody else. The new jobs are going to be where you find that you can create value in society. And you're going to use artificial intelligence to basically be your corporation over you, right?
Oh,
There's literally guys right now. There's a story about 3 guys. I think the company's called Mercor or something like that. And it's 3 young 20 somethings that have built this company by themselves essentially, and they're all billionaires now after 1 year of doing things, and it's all run by artificial intelligence. And so this is it's kind of where people are going to be able to really explore entrepreneurial spirit. They're going to be able to come up with I wanted to start this business, and suddenly that's going to be a real opportunity, where before you would have to have a lot of capital, you'd have to be able to raise money to get employees and that sort of thing. But now you're going to have these resources that are really going to empower you to create your own financial freedom and your own financial future. So I think some of the job loss is going to be taken up by that sort of thing. And I've really been thinking about and really asking the question, what could new jobs be in this world? And, we can all go down kind of the dystopian era where no one's working and everything's bad and it all sucks. But I've kind of been also hearing another angle on this from some, pretty heavy tech kind of people. And that is that, we are actually going to end up producing more jobs because we're going to become so productive. There's going to be so much output that there's going to be a demand in all different kinds of areas that just wasn't there before, right? That we're going to actually be working harder than we've ever worked before. And so I think that I like that idea. I'm not 100% sure that that's exactly how it's going to play out, but I do see that there's a path to that. All right. That as you become more productive, requires more, oversight and more activity from people.
I have a couple worries here I want to bring up. All right. First one, obviously, is, government is not going to like what you just said at all. Right? At all. Government is going to want you all, because government, you see in California, your state and my state, they are going out of their way to crush entrepreneurism. Mm-hmm. And to force people into being employees. Yeah. Because that's payroll tax, that's all taxation, that's control. They are forcing people to the best of their ability into it. They're not paying attention at all. So that means a clash, obviously, right? As I start to make my company, it happens here in New York. The second you open up your company, New York State sends you a bunch of threatening notes saying you owe them money for workers' comp.
Yeah.
Right. And it's my company that I own and I'm the sole proprietor. And now you got to pay 40 grand for workers' comp. Yes. Right. In case you fall down and sue yourself. 100%. I guess that's the issue. Yeah. Right. So stuff like that happens in New York, happens in California too, I'm sure. So as these people begin to go, hey, I want to do this cool new thing, like these 20-year-olds. Yeah. Isn't the government going to be like, no, shut up and go to work for minimum wage? We're raising minimum wage. Stop complaining.
Yeah. The funny thing is right now, AI is moving at such a speed that our slothful bureaucracy cannot keep up with it. By the time they start writing some new law or legislation, the AI has already moved on to the next cycle, essentially. So, I've kind of come to this understanding that all public agencies have to be completely reimagined at this point, because AI is about to gut most public agencies. It's going to just absolutely take over everything. And so, I think the big fight actually is going to be between unions, public unions, and the taxpayer, right?
Yes.
If the taxpayer can see that you can reduce the cost of government by, let's say, 60% or 70%. And government holds on to, well, we've got to save these jobs. We can't let these people go. We've got to keep spending your money.
Right.
Right? That you get into a little bit of a fight between the taxpayer and the bureaucrats, essentially. I think that's one of the fights that's going to come down. And I'm happy to have that fight, because I feel like if we can improve government efficiency by 60 to 70%, that means we could cut taxes by 60 to 70%, and anything that reduces taxation, in my opinion, is a good thing.
So let me quickly grab some real fast. D says, hey, Sharpies, I'm here listening. I sent Larry a super chat donation. And Missy says, you can super chat Larry through his website. Yes, you can't super chat me normally, because this is, politics and boo YouTube. So I can't do that. So you have to go to LarrySharpe.com/super chat. There is a link directly in the description on YouTube, on Facebook, and a Rumble. If you care, please do so. And Dee sent me a super chat, and it says, the Hochul camp thinks it's because of Kathy that Stefanik left the race. That's laughable. I gave money to Larry. You should give too. She's right. You should give money to me. She's right. But yes, Stefanik did not leave because of Hochul. And just a little bit off topic, but because she did super chat, everything that Stefanik said existed 2 weeks ago when she was still trying to get money. Kathy Hochul still existed 2 weeks ago. Christmas still existed 2 weeks ago. Her family still existed 2 weeks ago, right? All the things she said, the primary still existed 2 weeks. Everything existed 2 weeks ago. What changed in the past 2 weeks? Blakeman got in and Trump did not endorse her. That's what changed. Nothing else changed. So what changed is, oh my God, I have to work for this. And I got Larry Sharpe breathing down my throat. And he's not going to let me get away with this at all. And now that Blakeman's in, there'll be a primary. And Larry might be in that primary too. And he's going to wipe the floor with me. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take my $3 million I raised and act like I care about Christmas or something. That's what she did. So yes, a little off topic, but
pretty nice to walk away with $3 million for a campaign that you didn't even finish. And
isn't that great?
That's pretty good. And also, like, if you're a donor to that person and they just bailed with your $3 million bucks, are you going to give that person money again? I mean, I wouldn't. If it's like, well, hey, you didn't do the thing that you said you were going to do. And I mean, I think that's one thing I really appreciate about you, Larry, is that you've done this full Sharpe tour across New York, 3-4 times, whatever it is, where you literally go to every county in New York and talk to regular folks across.
Yep.
None of these people are doing that work.
None
of these people are doing that work. And I saw that was a thing that impressed me about Vivek, because when I was campaigning in Iowa and it was 30 degrees below zero and it was a blizzard snowstorm and it was the most coldest I've ever been in my life. He went to every county in the middle of that snowstorm and met with people. And I was like, wow, this guy is putting in the work. Right. And like you said, she wasn't willing to put in the work, but people still gave her $3 million. It kind of shows how broken the system really is that if you're just the R candidate or the D candidate, you're just going to get a crap pile of money just because you have that next to your name. And you're not, like, she didn't even get the endorsement of Trump and she still got $3 million. Right. So it's, that part of the system is totally broken. And that's one of the things that I'm working on to try to kind of create more competition in American politics, because we need more competition. Competition breeds excellence. And this is a prime example of that. Is she saw the competition coming. She didn't want to have nothing to do with it. And it got rid of the crappy candidate. So competition worked in this, and so the free market of political competition worked. And we don't have that. We have captured political, partisan voting systems in America. And until we kind of change that, you're going to continue to see crappy candidates getting $3 million and then walking away grifting the donors.
Absolutely. It's embarrassing how bad this happens again and again and again. And the sad part is, I think a lot of Republicans are going to do it again. A lot 100%. Of them are just so in their heads like, well, okay, not her, then who? Here's another $3 million.
Well, and right? That's 100%. It is like, what's the alternative? In America, you're only given two alternatives, right? And one alternative for most people is antithesis of exactly what they don't want in life, right?
Right.
And so it's like they just hold their nose and they're like, just give the R some money, give the D some money, and hopefully our team wins and they don't screw it up too bad and they sort of do what I want. But we all know that they then get into office and then they never do the thing that they say they're going to do anyway.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
It's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah. Sam says 100% agree with the analysis. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So let me get back, if I could, to the other part I want to bring up, which is the employment piece. You're right. The government is going to want to push employment. It's going to support unions, all those things. My worry is there's always a loophole. And generally speaking, the wealthy find the loophole because they have the lawyers or the accountants or whatever. But with AI, anybody can find the loophole. So I feel like the system that the wealthy now have, AI can kind of equalize that. to where now whatever the loophole the wealthy were using, well, now I can use it because I don't need to spend X thousands of dollars on lawyers and or accountants. I spend whatever, 20 bucks or whatever it is a month on my AI, and I type in, how the hell do I get on these stupid government regulations? What I got to do? And AI says, do this, 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 this.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, no, you're not wrong. But the real issue is that the lobbyists, who are the rich and the powerful, essentially, have created a system where you, even if you have the resources yourself, you're not allowed to participate in that. Like, take tax code, for instance. Sure, the AI might tell you, hey, all you have to do is itemize your deductions and do this, this, and this, and take this, this, and this. And then you're like, oh, but I don't fit into the rules of the IRS to take deductions. I fit into the alternative minimum tax, so it doesn't matter if I do the thing. Like, the game is so rigged that it's like, even if you have the tools to like screw it, you're still under the thumb, of the thing, right? And so it's not as easy as that.
You almost have to, in a way, if I get this right, you kind of have to then use AI to fight AI. What I mean by that is, if I want to make changes to where things actually work for me, wouldn't I want to use AI, as you said, to kind of run the agencies, right? I think about now in New York City, New York State, Department of Buildings, right? Mm-hmm. Department of Buildings in New York City, as an example. I want to put something together and you would put something together. We both put exactly the same thing together, but we get two different inspectors.
100%.
So yours gets approved, mine doesn't. Why? No. Not because the guy's mean or bad, because one guy interprets it this way, the other guy interprets it that way. And then worse, I get approved. I'm sorry, you get approved, I don't. So I have to go back and fix it. You get approved and you make one change, but now you get a different adjuster who now goes back and goes, oh, no. You shouldn't even got approved in the first place. So no, that's trash.
Yeah.
But if now we use AI, while I'm sure there could be bias in AI too, of course, but the bias wouldn't be, I don't like Lars or I don't like Larry. It will be towards some idea or some concept that could then be adjusted. Am I right here?
100%. And so I'll give you a real life example that happened to me and what this all boils down to. So I had on the campaign, a tree cleaved my garage in half.
I remember that.
And it was horrible. But anyway, I went to rebuild the garage exactly the way that it was built before 10 years ago. And they threw all kinds of new rules and regulations and things that, like, I just wanted it exactly the same. I don't want to like build the Taj Mahal or do anything different.
Right.
It took 1 year and 3 months for me to get the permits to rebuild half of a garage exactly the same way that it was before. Right. And it was literally that somebody doesn't like me at the town council or something like that, at the planning department. And so what I was realizing was that if you have a government system, and a lot of government is rules, right? It's all like rules, right? And if you have a rules-based system, that's what AI excels at, because it can apply the rule specifically to you. So I was like, why can't I just take these plans, submit it to the AI, building inspector? The AI would look at it and literally in 10 seconds would tell me, like, yes, this passes the rules, or no, this does not pass the rules, right? And it would tell me, these are the things you have to change in order to pass rules. Now, if we were denying so many buildings because there were so many rules that were outdated or didn't only applied when they wanted to forcefully use them against you because they didn't like you, then we would change the rules and we would lessen the rules so that because the whole idea behind building rules is safety. That's what they're supposed to do, right?
Supposed to be. But
there's so much extra crap that's just like grown in there over decades and decades of bureaucratic, slime. So I think all planning departments in America should go full AI, and we should just apply the rules equally to everybody. And if you're
2 parts I want to bring up.
100%.
Number one, I think that not only could you use AI to do the rules, you could also use AI to cull, right? You could say, okay, AI, what rules do we have that in the past, say 50 years or whatever the number is, have never been used?
Right.
Like, what rules have never had a problem? And what rules do we have that no longer apply, that the safety aspects are no longer there anymore?
Yeah.
And it can go through and go, oh, these 25, and get rid of them all. Now, my only worry is someone's got to program the AI.
Yep.
Is there a way to program the AI? And I don't know this, I'm asking you, is there a way to program the AI to where, I'm the in New York City, right? I use that as my example because I live here, right? In New York City, there's a bunch of very big developers. Most developers have over 2,000 units. Most do, right? So is there a way for me to write the rules to make sure all the 2,000 unit guys get all their stuff approved and all the 10 and below guys get hammered, so I can buy up their units and I can have 3,000 units, right? I mean, is there a way of doing that?
I mean, of course there would be a way to write it in favor. Everything can be written. If you're writing a rule, the rule can be written in favor of you, and that's why we have lobbyists and all the people that shill for government. But I think the rule book would be the rule book, and so if you train the AI just on the rule book and you just say this is your rule book and this is the parameters of what you can apply is this, and there isn't any special carve out because you're a big developer or a small guy or whatever. And then, I think that a big piece of all this is we need transparency in the AI. That if you're going to have a government AI, it needs to be open source. We need to we need to understand exactly what it's doing. And so I almost feel like it's like we need an AI Transparency Act, right?
Oh,
that basically makes it so that any citizen can audit the AI if the AI is being government, right? Because we want transparency in our government. We want to know what's going on. I don't want a secret black box deciding how my life should be. I mean, I already have, people that decide how my life should be. I definitely don't need a computer to do that to me, so if I can audit it and say, oh, okay, this is fair, this is equal. And if it's not, then I can at least try to go to my government and say, change this.
But this goes back to our employee piece, right? There are literally thousands of people who work in agencies like the Department of Buildings. I think New York City has 6 figures worth of people who work for New York City, right? So what you're saying might literally dump half of them or more. I mean, who knows how many it will dump, right? Sake of argument, half. So I'm going to put 50,000, 100,000 people out of work.
They're not there, and this is what I said earlier. They're basically becoming redundant. And there's going to be a big fight because the public union is going to be like, you're not cutting those people loose, right? Like that's not. We need to save those jobs. Those are important jobs. And it's like, well, if the AI can do the job for 90% less and do it 50 times faster, 100 times faster, why wouldn't we as a society want the thing that gives us 100 times faster at far cheaper cost with a better outcome, Got it. Hold on. I got 2 things I want to bring up. Sam says, love the idea of AI transparency for government AI. Love that. Wesley says, help please. Why is it when I go donate, there is a new box I must check that says, among other things, I certify that I'm resident? I hope that's not true. If my team is watching that should not be true. There is a box that says you're a New York state resident so that we can know if you would actually, if you actually are able to be eligible for matching funds. But it should not be a must check. It should be an optional check that if you are a New York resident, you check it so you're eligible for matching funds, but anyone can donate. If my team is watching, please fix that immediately if that's true. If it's not, please get to Wesley right now and let him know what's going on. Thank you for that, Wesley. I appreciate that. Yes. Let's make that happen. Thank you. So, all righty. I do have another super chat I could. Phil, super chat for $10. He says, I'm curious about Edge AI. How hard will it be to set up something like a desktop PC AI program that can train on your own data set? Awesome. I love this is perfect. This is what I've been thinking about a lot lately. So
there we go.
My personal opinion is that we're gonna all end up having our own firewalled LLMs that are working in our homes that are not cloud-based, that are basically the same open transparency that we were talking about there. You're not going to want to let in the government AI or the big cloud AI. You're going to want to run your own. And so I personally am running several of my own open source LLMs on my PCs right now. And I bought a Spark GDX, which is a NVIDIA super chip computer kind of thing. And so I'm running that, and I'm running these LLMs, and I'm sort of just playing with it. I even toyed with the idea of starting a company that would be essentially a firewalled LLM for sale to people, so that you could have your own personal AI that's not, and then you train it with your own data, your own beliefs. Because I think in the future, and we've talked about this in the before, is that we're all going to have these robots in our house, right? But do we really want the Elon Musk trained robot, or the Mark Zuckerberg trained robot, or the and because we already see on social media how they suppress different viewpoints that they don't like, right? They'll you don't get reach, you get shadow banned, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. So I really don't want a woke robot in my house telling me like, oh, that you didn't do that right, society's going to be mad at you, or whatever, right? I don't want a super
that's going to affect your credit. That's going to affect your social's credit score.
Yeah, and I don't want a super right-wing robot in my house either, telling me that I'm going to hell because I thought this bad thought that wasn't appropriate for whatever thing that they said. And so what I see is that we're going to have these robots this is the kind of robot I want. And so if no one else makes it, I'll build it. But essentially, I want a robot that is trained on my ideals and my belief system, especially if it's going to be interacting with my children, or with my parents, or my friends that come over. I don't want it spouting off nonsense. And like you wouldn't let a person into your house that was totally like psycho on either side of the aisle, right? And then attack your other friends that come in. So why would you let a robot come in and do that, right? Kind of a thing. So I really think that we're going to have personalized LLMs, firewalled to your beliefs, and is trained on you. It's going to be living with you all the time. So it's going to understand everything about you. Like, you like to wake up at 6 a.m. You like to have a cup of coffee. It's going to know all these things. And so it's automatically going to be like the ultimate butler for you. It's just it's going to know before you know what you want to do. Like, you're going to be like, what should I eat tonight? And it's like, oh, I already picked out 6 options for you. And you're like, well, those are really good options. I like those. So
yes.
I think
it just says local LLMs.
Yeah.
So I guess with this question, it becomes, how do I know, or do I know that it's trustworthy?
Yeah.
Right. In other words, you sell me the thing. Well, I know you, but then also Joe Schmo is going to sell me one, and he's going to say there's no back end thing to do anything, right? He's going to tell me that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the government goes, hey, guy, Jojo, you need to let me into Larry Sharpe's, robot so that I can pin some federal charges on him. And he goes, great. Yeah. I was just kidding. Yeah. And lets me in the back end. And all of a sudden I'm off to jail. How do I know that's not the case?
Well, we're almost to the point where even a novice AI person like myself can train your own LLM at your house. Like, we're almost to the point where you don't need the cloud people. Now, the difference is that the LLM that you train at your house is like 4 stages behind the LLMs that are in the cloud. So they're not at the same level, because they're at the cutting edge and you're like 3 or 4 iterations back. But there's a certain point, just like computers, where the computer is getting bigger and better and faster and more powerful, but you're using it the same as you used it before. You don't really need all that. Like, the stuff that is in my PC right now, I'm never going to really use it, right? And I could probably use a computer that was 10 years ago and still get most of the things done that I wanted to get done. And so we're going to reach a point where the AI open source LLMs that you can train yourself are going to be so powerful that they're going to handle 95% of the stuff that everyday people would do. And it's going to be pretty commonplace for you to be able to just spin that up on your own machine. Like, it'll be a piece of software that you just run, and that it's got the right pieces in it, and it doesn't have spyware and stuff in it. But right now, most of the biggest LLMs out there that are available as open source are all coming out of China.
Oh,
and there are backdoors in all of them.
Yep, that's my worry.
All of them. And I literally had people like writing code, and if you write a small code, it's easy to see if they try to put something in there. But if you have thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code that this thing's jumping out, it can put a little something in there to let that send info to the mothership, kind of a thing.
Yes.
And that's happening. So what a lot of these guys are doing is they're using the Chinese LLM because it's actually really good. It's probably the best open source that's out there right now, and then they're taking that and they're putting it back into the cloud-based LLMs of America and saying, look through here and see if there's any shady crap going on, and rip that out, right? And so they have filters and stuff, and so you could literally take your own home LLM and then feed it into one of the big cloud things and say, is there anything shady in here? And because there's 5 or 6 competing big LLMs, you know, they couldn't all collude together to say like, oh, we're gonna let the back door slip through. I mean, maybe they could, and it's, you know, it's the way the world works. But I think that that's gonna be how we guarantee that we have our own firewalled LLM that is not got crazy backdoors with government listening to us or any of that kind of stuff, and is tailored to, you know, our persons and our moral compass, basically.
So JG says, what's funny, I've heard that smaller language models that run locally are less likely to hallucinate. Do you know if that's true?
I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it kind of makes sense, because if you have less, a big part of it is that the cloud ones are trained. You're paying OpenAI, or you're paying for Grok, you $20 a month or whatever. Like, not everybody does, but a lot of people do. There's a billion people paying $20 a month right now for OpenAI, which is insane. But
crazy. Crazy.
But when you pay for something, you expect a result, and so these AIs are trained to give a result regardless of whether they know the answer or not, right? Because and so I've literally had to go into my AIs, and you can tune them yourself. And I basically say, if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know the answer, this is my best guess.
Got it.
Right. And that helps a lot, because a lot of times I fight with the thing and I'm like, that's not true. I know for a fact that that's not true, and you're just spouting crap right now, right? Like, and so, but also you got to remember that the hallucinations right now are getting less and less.
Okay.
We were, you know, when in the first LLMs came out, it was hallucinating like 60% of the time, and now maybe we're down to 20% of the time, and that's going to continue to get less and less as the we near artificial general intelligence, as we get closer and closer to that. So one of the things that they're doing to fix hallucinations, and this is getting pretty nerdy, and I'm not an expert in this, but essentially what they're doing is they're having the AI critique itself before giving you the answer. So it'll run like 10 or 12 agents on the side, and that's what you see. You hear about deep research or deep thinking. Yep. That's essentially what this is it takes the answer that it has, and then it cross verifies itself to see if that answer is legitimate or not. And it might even go out to other sources and try to, like, you know, critique it. So there's a difference between when you just go to the regular ChatGPT and you type in a thing, it just gives you a very quick, super fast answer, but it's much more likely to be hallucinative or to not be 100% accurate. But if you do the deep research, it takes maybe 3 minutes, and it's using a huge amount of compute power to do it. But the answer is going to be much more in depth with sources, and you're going to be able to be like, okay, this is actually the legitimate answer, as long as it doesn't make up the sources.
There we go. I have another super chat here. This is from Phil. It's $5. Thank you, Phil. He says, what does Lars think about combining personal LLMs with computer-aided design and 3D printing and CNC machining? Does it open up individuals to have home design and building boutique factories? Probably you couldn't build things at scale, but you probably could prototype a new building at low production for a number of objects.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the kind of entrepreneur thing that we were just, you know, talking about, is that there's going to be all kinds of people that are going to be like, you know, I always wanted to make jewelry, you know, and I have this 3D printer and I have this AI, and now I'm just going to tell the AI, look through all the jewelry that's ever been made, and look through the jewelry that's the most popular and make something similar to me, print out 10 templates of cool earrings, and then let me make those earrings. And then, by the way, I need you to set up a full Shopify system and a website for me, and my name of my company is blah, 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 and go start selling the thing. I listened to a podcast called Moonshots
Oh, sure, I know.
And I love it because these guys they have really good thought process. But one of the predictions that they had for 2026 is that there will be the first AI billionaire in 2026.
How can it be an AI billionaire?
Because the AI basically can be told, like, go out and create a business, by yourself. As we get closer and closer to AGI, the computer can figure out what's the best thing, right? Like, it can literally basically come up with the best business model and that sort of thing. So there's already like stock trading that's being done by AI, right? And so the AI could basically by itself create $1 billion worth of profit as long as it had some seed capital and that sort of thing. So I think that's really interesting. And it's like, oh, the best path for me to make money within the constraints that I was given is, like we just talked about, is like make earrings, open a Shopify, come up with a marketing plan, come up with a social media plan, start, posting on social media for me, get hype, and basically just market my product, and I'll go sit by the pool and wait for the money to roll in, kind of a thing.
I like that.
Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of the job replacement is going to be. But, not everybody is an entrepreneur, but I think,
yes.
But I think that a big piece of why not everybody's an entrepreneur is because our education system basically forces you to be a cubicle worker. It basically forces you, like you said before, the government wants you to be a worker so that it can collect its payroll taxes and do its thing. And that's why the whole school system that is run by the government is set up the way that it is. And as we reimagine education, and AI is our educator, I think that's going to change a lot, and people are going to really embrace entrepreneurial spirit.
I got to touch a couple things here. Number one, I worry that this is going to create a haves and have nots type, right? What I mean by that is there's a lot of people who, you're right, who are going to jump on the entrepreneurial thing. We saw it during the lockdowns, right? When people were locked down, people started making their own businesses. People started doing things like gig work, like the Uber types and stuff like that, right? You saw people start doing those types of things, right? I think you're right. And you found people totally checking out and going on the government dole.
Yep.
And also being worried about things like, hey, I just want to, like, I don't know, slip and fall on Lars's business so I could sue him for $1 bazillion, right? Yeah. That kind of stuff. And you see it, particularly I see it when I drive down the highways in New York, Florida, Pennsylvania, every other, a billboard is, did you fall? Call so-and-so. Did you ever slip and fall? Call blah, 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 right? Like everyone's trying to sue somebody for money somehow. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to work for it. I just want to sue somebody for it, right? I want to get my check. I want to get my ongoing check. So it makes it to where the UBI style becomes a way that people become acceptable. I just want to get my ongoing check, man. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. Are you going to have a UBI level people and then the entrepreneur level people?
I mean, wouldn't you think that basically we already have that? I mean, in entitlements and welfare, healthcare, socialized stuff. I mean, we already have UBI. It's just, and one thing that's been being thrown about now is not universal basic income, but universal basic services.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
So instead of giving you money to spend as you want or whatever on, you are basically entitled to certain services. You're entitled to electricity, and you're entitled to a cell phone, and you're entitled to a computer or whatever, right? And so
that actually sounds worse,
right? But it's I think that I'm just saying that that's something that people are discussing right now. There's always going to be haves and have-nots, because there's always going to be somebody that's willing to put in the work, and there's going to be other people that are not willing to put in the work, right? Yep. I mean, that's the reality of what it is. And there was a thing yesterday where I was looking, and it said basically like 10,000 people signed up to do a certain activity. They 50% open the emails, so 5,000 people open the emails. Of those 5,000 people, only 500 were actually doing what it said to do in the email to make their life better. So basically 5% of the people were willing to put in the work, right?
Right,
And
right, right, right,
9,500 people were not willing to put in the work. And it's just, I think that's kind of part of humanity. It's not going to change. That's no matter what technology we have or whatever. But I will say this, that I love the fact that, like, right now, if you were never, you have no artistic ability, and you have no musical ability, and you have no creative ability, or but you do have imagination. AI right now has basically leveled the playing field for creative talent.
Yes.
Basically,
True.
right? So you saw that there's like the Tilly. You've heard about the Tilly woman. That's like
Yep.
the
She's
AI,
the actor.
Yeah, and it's like she's got like $50 million worth of contracts now, and it's an AI actress kind of a thing. And so there'll be a lot more of that kind of stuff. There's AIs that have topped the Billboard chart now. That are that
Oh,
are,
I didn't know that. Is that right?
Yeah, and so because
Wow.
some of the music, like you start listening to them, I hadn't listened to any of the music in a while, but a few friends recently turned me on to some YouTube channels that have basically AI remixes of famous songs in different genres, and I was like blown away by the quality. You're like, oh, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that, right? Like between real and not real. And we're there. I think 2026 is going to be the time where we're gonna get on this call here, and I'm not gonna know if you, Larry Sharpe, are the real Larry Sharpe or not. The AI is going to be good enough to basically clone you and do you like 95%. And
there's a woman now on I forgot her name. It's something McCoy. I forgot her name.
Oh yeah, Julia McCoy.
Julia McCoy. But the person who's doing it is her avatar.
Yeah.
It's not her.
Yeah.
But she says it. She goes, "Hi, I'm Dr. Julia McCoy's avatar." And of course, because her name's McCoy, she has a blue Star Trek for Dr. McCoy from Star Trek, which I just love that. No one notices that but me. I'm like, yes, so good. So yes, so she has a blue, because of course Dr. McCoy wore the blue one. So yeah, so she has the blue one and she does it. But when I showed that to my younger daughter, she's like, "Dad, I don't like this." She was like, "I don't like this. I don't like this." But you're right. It's already happening.
Well, I think too, it's interesting. Like, I think that one of the kind of jobs, or one of the things that we'll be doing in the future that we're not necessarily doing right now, is there's going to be a lot more drive for authentic human connection. That's going to be there's going to be a premium put on that. There's going to be a whole group of people's jobs is going to be to facilitate people coming together. I just saw your buddy Andrew Yang posted he posted a thing called like Unplugged, or it's basically like a rave party, but you have to leave your phone at the door in a black bag, right? And so you can't have any tech with you, and you can only communicate person to person. And I think a lot of kids, 20 somethings, will sign up for this because they don't know. They've grown up in playing video games and meeting each other online and in Zoom, and so they're not really great at person-to-person communication. It scares them, right?
Yes.
And so this kind of thing is actually.
I'll go further. Young men aren't even picking up young women anymore. Yeah, they don't pick them up. They don't have to communicate with the women, so they don't go pick them up anymore.
Well, they're terrified.
They're terrified. Yes,
they don't have the skills. They don't have any game. There's no game. Youth have no game, bro.
You got no game. They got
no game.
We're supposed to be teenagers, kind of figuring out how to get games. So by the time we're a bit older, we got a little bit of game. We can pick up some women. No, not anymore.
Yeah,
you're right. It's terrible. So I do want to grab a couple of these if I could. There's so many things I want to pop up here. Liberty Shamrocker says, "I'm stoked for the new business models like Reflect Orbital. It's basically the ability to order Uber Sunshine on demand. What are Lars' thoughts on this?" And she goes on to say, "For example, sending the sun to power grids when they had weather-related catastrophes." Any thoughts on this kind of thing?
Yeah, there's I've heard of this kind of thing. I don't know if it was this exact company, but basically they've started to figure out how to beam energy from space back to Earth. So you put all these solar
like that.
panels up into space where there's no atmosphere, there's no degradation of the cells, the solar cells, and then they just have this like beam of light that just goes down. I don't know if it kills all the birds in the path or something.
Probably does.
Goes through the airplane that's going by. But anyway, they have these new ideas of doing sort of radiation, electromagnetic pulses, energy, waves. And I love that idea. I think that that's going to be the future. It's like, the big thing right now is data centers in space.
Yes,
right.
I heard about that.
It's the same kind of idea. Is that everybody's pissed off that there's these data centers in their neighborhoods. It's driving up the power costs. It's using lots of water. There's people are pissed off about it, and so what that's doing is it's causing people like Bernie Sanders to say we need to regulate this and nobody should be allowed to build a AI data center anywhere, right? And so the market says, well, we still need data centers. This is a trillions and trillions of dollar business. So what do? Oh, we're going to build them in space. What's the one company that launches 95% of all rockets launched in the world today?
95% of all rockets are launched by one company? I didn't know that.
SpaceX.
Wow, I had no idea.
95%.
That's insane.
They own it all. It's insane. So basically what they're talking about first is turning every Starlink, which already has solar panels on it, into mini little data centers. And there's literally thousands and thousands of those things floating around in space right now, right? And so you could see like build it a little bigger and add 10 hard drives to it and add some Blackwell chips, and then there's no need for water because it's in outer space. They radiate the heat out into outer space, which is there's no temperature there, and so it's and then it's more efficient because when you have less heat, computers become more efficient.
So I want to bring up a couple of things. Wow, you brought up so many things. All right, first thing I want to bring up is Phil says Larry's GovShack song is AI. That's true. If you watch my GovShack show, the GovShack song is AI. So yes, so we already did that. And of course you love that show. Anyway, my point being, so yeah, that's one piece I want to bring up. But the second piece I bring up is, the idea that I brought up, and this is, and now all the stuff we talked about, I want to now go to how can we deal with it at the governmental level? You brought up the idea of Bernie Sanders when it regulates so no one can have anything anywhere. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking the best answer, since we're not going to be able to slow it down, because Trump already said no regulation is not slowing down. It's going to keep going no matter what we do. Yeah. Okay. The only way to make this work is to have somebody actually able to pull the plug, right? Someone's got to be able to pull the plug. Mm-hmm. And I don't want just, the top 5 billionaires on the planet to have that ability. I'd like more people to have that ability. I think how we do it is by controlling the energy source. And my worry about putting it up into space is that, well, now Elon Musk controls the energy source, so now he controls all of that. I would rather have it here. I'm talking about New York, obviously, me running for governor of New York. I'm talking about taking the 13 or 14 places we already have in New York that are former power plants that are already shut down. Put a nuclear power plant on an array of maybe 4 pre-made nuclear power plants all together to make one big one, right? That kind of thing. Plug it right in. Yeah. Put data centers right around it, so no need for a grid, right? Yeah. Because a grid upkeep will be insane right now, but don't have it directly connect it right there around it, right? And have it co-op owned 50% by the local municipality or by the local county, depending upon how large municipalities your counties are, the case may be. If they agree to it, there'd be a plebiscite. The people have to agree to it. They agree to it. They have it. They would have 50% ownership in it. So 3 things happen with that. Number 1, they would have voting rights. So if all of a sudden these data centers decide, oh, we want to use it to make Skynet and shoot and kill everybody, we're not giving you energy. No. You're not building Terminators, dude. So right, we can stop. Say no. Give them some power to say no. But the second piece is now they would want those data centers next to them because they're making money from it. They are literally making money from it. And also create something else. The last piece, which is now as these data centers suck up and buy all the energy, a cut of that goes to the local people. Mm-hmm. So they have 3 options with that. Number 1, they can say, you know what? I love that we're getting this extra money. I would like to create as one example would be, I want to create a public bank in my municipality or my county so that I can now make very cheap loans for people to buy housing in my area. They want to move in, or that I want to start my business, which we've been talking about. I want low interest rate loans to start businesses so I can do this thing. Option one. Option two, no, I just want a fund that will pay for things. They'll pay for school or pay for Medicare or, pay for roads. Or last, I just want a check like Alaska does. At the end of the year, write me a check. So as many of these, so basically you create a UBI that's not government, that's not taxed, that we want the wealthy paying, the wealthy are now paying happily, right? Because as you know, a data center, what is it? Maybe create 10 jobs, a dozen jobs, maybe?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, hardly any. But a nuclear power plant creates hundreds.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's a way for people to feel comfortable with the data processing centers, with blockchain mining, right? With all those things that don't create a lot of jobs, but would create cash and have some kind of control. If all of American counties and municipalities said no Skynet, they could shut the energy down if they had to, right? Now, obviously, if one group goes, I'm mad, who cares? It's one group. But if the whole country was like, oh my God, they're about to build Skynet, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's coming, right? I can shut it down. Am I making sense? Tell me.
Yeah, you are. I think this is already in play. We talked about, you and I talked about this like 3 years ago, where Microsoft has a nuclear power plant in not Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, somewhere up in there. And they basically did a deal with the municipality there. They said, hey, let us build this kind of prototype nuclear power plant, and you'll own it, and you don't use that much energy yourselves. Like you use maybe 1/10 of what this power plant's going to produce. And so you're going to be able to sell 90% of the power to outside sources around you, right? And it's like, I know Wyoming does this. Wyoming is one of the biggest power generators out there, and they sell something like 70% of their power that they create to other states, right?
Yep.
And so smart business people that are working in governments in different states, some states are not going to pull it because they're just not there, and other states are going to take advantage of this, and they're already doing it with deals with like Google and with Microsoft and with these and with OpenAI. So all these guys are hungry for power, so they've already scoured the country for every known power plant that's sort of been shut down but not totally decommissioned, and they're you see them firing them all back up. And I'm super stoked on this, because basically what's happening right now is government got in the way of power development for the last 45, 50 years. And the rest of the world has moved on while we are sucking badly at power generation, right? And what AI is doing, which I just love, is it's forcing the system to adapt to better energy policies, right? And it's they're making so much money that is now in the financial markets, right? The capitalist market is now engaged to create better outcomes, and there's a financial reward for creating a better outcome. Before there wasn't a financial reward so now we have everybody aligned to create cheaper, faster, better energy, and government's getting on board because they're going to make money off of it now. And so the logjam is sort of broke on all this stuff. And I think that's one of the beneficial outcomes of AI, is that we're about to see a massive energy space race that you and I talked about during my campaign, and it's coming true, and I just love it. There's a whole group of people now that are shoving tons and tons of money at nuclear fusion, right? Which is unlimited free energy, essentially.
And now we have AI, we should be able to do it.
That's right. And I 100% think that AI will solve this problem and will help make this curve go a lot quicker than it has before. And this is part of the thing that excites me and makes me stoked for the future and hopeful for the future, is that when we start reducing the cost of energy by 80, 90%, the cost of all goods and services drop dramatically because you don't have to transport it at the expense that you do. Like there was something like 65% of all food costs are energy embedded. That if so you could drop food by 65%. I read something the other day that said the average piece of fruit or food that ends up on your table in America traveled 2,000 miles to get to you.
Wow.
And I thought that was insane. That's an insane number,
yes.
right? And so that's all energy. So imagine if food costs dropped 60% today. What would that do to the economy? What would that do to like families who are struggling to put food on the table? So yes, we're going to have job losses, but also we're going to have deflation like nobody's ever seen before. And so that's something that I've been looking at is what does capital markets look like under insane deflation? Like when prices are just really dropping, how do people react to that? Right. And what it is they start saving. Because the price tomorrow is going to be cheaper. So why would you spend it today? Right. And so, but that's a whole nother game of economics and weird outcomes that's going to come from all this that our government isn't even thinking about. There's like nobody in, I would guess that there's maybe like one person in all of Congress right now that's thinking about the massive deflation that's coming due to AI and what policies should be in place to do this thing. And that's, that's one of the reasons why I personally back you as a governor candidate and why I financially donated to you as a governor candidate is because you think about solutions. You think about how we're going to fix things. And so you might not know all the details of this thing, but you're really good at connecting the dots and putting the pieces together and saying, okay, this is how we can make people's lives better using stuff that's there without stepping on their freedoms, without, using authoritarian force. And, that's what I appreciate about you. And that's why I support you in this, because I think you see it, I see it. And like the Stefanik, she didn't have any solutions. And before when you ran before, they literally stole your platform.
Yes, right? I remember. Yes.
And you and I and the team worked for 9 months on policy. Okay. And it's so crazy right now for me to watch the Trump administration take a bunch of the policies that we wrote white papers on. And they're doing our policy on certain things like energy policy, the AI race, these things. I was like, oh my God, that's the thing that we came up with.
Yes.
They're stealing our ideas, man. Well, you know what? Awesome. Because, the thing is that I might not have won the presidency, but we had influence on society by putting actual ideas forward. We changed the narrative. We changed the talk of the town, right? And they're forced to adopt some of our ideas. And this is why I champion basically competition in politics, because even if the people don't win that are going against them, they have to pick up some of those ideas. They have to run with some of those ideas,
or at least they have to come up with their own that will solve the problem. Either one.
That's right. And that's where liberty gets to creep in. Right. That's where we get to reduce the authoritarian state. So I am a huge fan of people running that are principled across this nation to raise the voice, raise the narrative, to say that we don't have to live under an authoritarian regime anymore, and that we can have better outcomes for all people without stepping on people's freedoms.
So I want you all to do like Lars said and donate, give me money. I want you to do what Lars says. Yes, please, guys, head over to LarrySharpe.com/donate when you can. Now, some people are asking in the chat, well, what if I'm in New York? What if I'm not in New York? Here's the reality. If you are not in New York, it still helps, because the more you give, the more I will try to get more New Yorkers to give. Well, Larry, why do you want more New Yorkers to give? Because of a thing called matching funds. For those you don't know, the real reason why Mamdani won the mayorship is because New York City gave him $12 million in matching funds. And if someone's going to give me $12 million in matching funds, I'm the next governor of New York. That's all I'm telling you. I will guarantee it, say it right now. If New York State gives me $12 million in matching funds, I am the next governor of New York. So can I get matching funds? Yes. if I get 5,000 New Yorkers to give me an average of $100 to equal $500,000 or more, New York State will write me a check for $3 million. Then for every $100,000 I make, as an example, they'll give me $600,000. This is insane. Larry, this can't be true. No, it's true. Mamdani's mayor of New York in 2 weeks. So yes, it's true. That's how it works. So guys, I'm asking you, if you live in New York State, please right now, head over to LarrySharpe.com/donate and give me anywhere from $5 to $250. That's the amount they will match. They will match between 5. So you give me 251, they don't match. They only match 250. You give me 4, they don't match any of it. They will match between 5 and 250. So if you live in New York State, please give me between $5 and $250. Now, here's the weird thing. If you give me $1,000, they'll still match, but only $250. If you give me $1,100, they'll match 0. That's the rules they made up. That's how that works. I know, seems crazy. That's the rule. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you are in a spot right now to where you can say, Larry, I love you to death. You're the best guy in the goddamn world. I want to give you a cup of coffee every single day. Awesome. It's $100 a month. Give me $100 a month for the next 10 months. It's $1,000. Do that over the next 10 months if you can swing it. If you can. If you're not good of a spot, please do so. You're not in a good spot. Great. You can give me a cup of coffee a month. That's $5 a month. $5 a month. Do that for the next 10 months, right? 12 months. Give me a year. I'm giving you a year. Give me a year, right? Do it for a year. $5 a month for a year. That's great. They'll match it. That $5 is actually $30. That's $30 a month for a year. Please do if you can. Larry, I'd love you, but I can do more than a cup of coffee a month. Then give me a cup of coffee a week. That's $25 a month. Do $25 a month. You do that for the next 10 months. That's $250. Perfectly match. You've matched me perfectly over time. $25 a month. Whatever you can do, do it monthly. Donate whatever you can if you live in New York State. If you don't live in New York State, give what you can give, because I'm going to take that money and I'm going to use Facebook and YouTube and emails to focus on New York State people so they give me that money. Remember, I need 5,000 donors. I'm about 3,000 donors short in New York State, right? About half of my donors come from outside New York State. About half come from inside New York State. So I'm about 3,000 donors short in New York State. Can I raise $500,000? Done it twice before. That can be done. Can I get 5,000 New Yorkers to give? I haven't done that before. I hope I can do it. I haven't done it before. So I need your help. Put some cash in if you can, so I get more New Yorkers to give. If it happens, I will raise $3 million in matching funds. Once that happens, every time I raise 100,000, I get another 600,000. This becomes a winnable race. Stefanik just left the race because she knows she can't win. Blakeman, who the hell's that guy? No one knows who that guy is. This is going to be a Larry Sharpe versus Kathy Hochul race. It's a winnable race. Mamdani just proved it. We can do this. Guys, LarrySharpe.com/donate. If you do want to, if you can't give, you can always volunteer. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. I need volunteers to be my social media warriors. SEAL Team Sharpe is what I need. Please do that. If you want some cool stuff, hoodies, shirts, cups, bumper stickers, LarrySharpe.com/shop. While we're having a good talk, this is also a fundraiser. Yes, I need cash. Remember, I'm reporting January 4th. That's when I got to report. If my report comes in, he raised $7. I'm finished. It's got to be a big number, because here's the problem. Good or bad, the media says I'm a good candidate by how much money I raised. They don't care if I'm smart or good looking. Clearly, I'm smart and good looking, but they don't care. They care how much money I brought in. So guys, help me out. Throw some cash in there. I appreciate it. I know I'm bugging you, but I'm supposed to. If you've already done it, no worries. Click the like button. I appreciate it. All right. I'm sorry. I went all over the place.
No, that's good. I have something to throw in there too, is that we talked about the 10,000 people that are, offered a thing to do. And that then it comes down to that there's only 5% of people that are willing to actually put in the work and do the deal. Right. Mm-hmm. And if you're a person who loves liberty, who's anti-authoritarian, wants to see the state reduced and people's lives get better, but you don't have the time or energy or inclination to run for office to try to change things, this is your opportunity to back somebody that is willing to put in the work, is willing to. Running for office is a sacrifice. It is not like Larry Sharpe is not going to get rich off of this. That's for damn sure. In fact, he'll probably end up in debt like he was last time and have to go back to work in order to pay off the bills that he has. Okay.
Both times.
This is a labor of love. And it pisses me off when I hear people like, you only ran for president to grift off the system. And it's like, I burned $1 million of my own money to the ground. I don't know what kind of grift that is, but it's the worst kind of grift ever in history. So, if you want to back a person that's actually doing the thing, $5, $10, whatever it is, it's very helpful. And it's like Larry said, if he could get 5,000 people to even give $10, that would be huge, because the media would be like, oh, he crossed the threshold of the rigged system. And so therefore he's somebody. And so now we have to put him in the polls and we have to talk about him and, all the kind of thing. And then that lifts up the voice, and that makes it so that Larry's ideas and principles and things that he's pushing, his ideas of how to fix things, get into the public, conversation. And that's how we get change. That's how we actually get change, because we need change, because the way things are working right now, they ain't working for anybody.
Not at all. I'm with you. And this is why we're trying to talk about this, so we can actually fix things. All right. I want to go to a totally separate issue. I heard something recently called EI. EI meaning energy intelligence, that now we can use AI within energy to make our grid better. To actually make our grid better, to make it more harmonious, to make it actually work better so we don't lose as much energy, to make a more efficient grid. So everyone's talking about the grid. The grid's down, grid's broken, grid's screwed up. AI now, if we give the AI more energy and we put the data centers right next to the nuclear power plants where they don't need a grid, they could actually help us build and improve the rest of the grid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, actually I'm an investor in a company called EarthGrid. What EarthGrid is doing it's fascinating stuff. They created these like electric tubes with electricity in them, and then they shoot super compressed air over the heated electricity, and it makes thousands of degrees of temperature, and it literally melts granite.
Wow.
So they're using these things to tunnel through granite underground and put all the infrastructure under the ground, which basically makes it so there's no more wildfires, and the stuff lasts longer, and you can put more powerful cables because they don't have to be out in the environment as much. And so I think that, there's a lot of innovation coming from all different areas that is going to fix this stuff, and we have new ways of doing the transport of electricity. Over a period of miles, electricity falls off, right? Can only push,
right.
It has resistance as it pushes down the line, and so you lose that. So your idea of having the data centers right next to the power plants is awesome. And also, like, most people, if they have a power plant next to them, they already kind of have an industrial kind of thing going. So it's not the same as like putting that into a farm right next to a bunch of farmers or something like that, right? So I think it's good policy to kind of combine those two things together. I still like the idea of outer space. Even Elon was talking about building data centers on the moon, on the dark side of the moon, right? And he would send up all his robots, and they'll build it, and then they beam it back down with that beam that we were talking about. So I'm super excited about the future, and that's the thing about AI, is it's accelerating all these ideas, and you don't need the capital that you used to have. You don't need the team that you used to have. You can take this vision, this idea that you have, and use AI to supercharge it. And we're going to see breakthroughs in 2026. 2026, I think, is going to be the year of AI and robots. Like, it's like everybody's going to look back on 2026 and just be like, wow, that was, and maybe it's the year 2000, and like we're going to have this blow off of economic stuff go on. But look, it's been 26 years since the year 2000. The internet didn't stop. It only accelerated since then. It's only gotten more powerful since then. And so while there may be a bubble in some AI financial investment kind of stuff, AI is here. It's going to continue to get bigger. It's going to be in everybody's lives. I tell people, you literally use AI every day and you don't know it. And they said, what are you talking about, Lars? I'm like, if you go on social media, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or X or any of those things, TikTok, all those are run by an algorithm, and the algorithm is AI. So you literally use AI every day. It's deciding for you what you should see and how you should see it, and it knows your personality, and it's delivering up the things that are going to resonate with you. Right. That's why when you like go to look for a certain kind of ad, you start seeing more of that kind of thing on your social media, because the AI knows that that's what you're looking for. And then it also knows that if you buy diapers, you probably have a baby. And so therefore I'm going to sell you a crib and daycare and schooling and life insurance and all this other kind of stuff. So it's already in our lives every day. And people are just like, I'm never going to use AI. I hate computers. I'm like, well, you're already doing it. You don't even know it.
Well, you sound very optimistic, which I'm very happy to hear. I am trying to give local people some more control and use AI to create community, right? That's my goal, because I think you're right. We're not going out and meeting people, but if we all of a sudden had this, place where we could make our own cash, and you would have more of a vote, and you would care, you show up at your local town hall because you would care, because what you're talking about would matter. You have to decide how to spend the money. People have to show up to talk about how to spend the money. You can create local things that matter. You'll see people get back together. I think that's where we're going to find our purpose. We're not going to find our purpose. I'm going to go off to the big city and become a financial guy. That's not going to be our purpose anymore. It's going to be more localized. How do I fix things in my town? I hope that we'll increase the extended family, that more uncles and aunts and nieces and nephews will stay in the same area. Grandma, grandpa will stay in the same area, because they don't have to go off to the city to go do something. They can stay in their town, that kind of thing. More of that in the future. I see it as a long term, but I think government should be supporting that, because that's how we're going to find our purpose. And people may want to stay home and make small businesses or make fun things to support people who they love and care about, which no one talks about happiness but me. I'm the only guy talking about happiness, which is what I want to have happen. Because, and you know this, Lars, happy people don't beg for socialism. Happy people don't commit mass shootings. Happy people don't beg for authoritarianism. Happy people don't beg for these things, right? Happy people like capitalism. Happy people like community. Happy people like this stuff. So the more happy the people are, the better. However, here's my worry. You're very upbeat, so am I. But what about the disruption that I think we're going to see before we get there? Isn't there going to be some shakeup or people fighting back, the Luddites, right? Who are going to be like, no AI and burn it to the ground or whatever. Isn't there going to be some disruption before we get there?
Yeah. So I say that, like, I'm 95% sure that in 10 years, the majority of Americans' lives are going to be vastly better than they are today.
Oh, I like that.
But I do think that there's going to be a period of transition that's going to be challenging as we move from basically this scarcity world where we're all scratching to get a buck and we're all trying to get our rung on the ladder, to an abundance world where everybody is provided for with cheap energy and cheap products and cheap, and you have cheap medical care, because the medical care has gotten so good because of AI. So we're going to get there. I think there's going to be a transition that's going to be challenging. There's always, like I said, there's always going to be people that are going to fall through the cracks. You're never going to be able to lift every single person up. But I would argue that everybody in America's life today is better than the Americans' life in 1800. Wouldn't you agree with that? I would even argue that maybe majority of Americans' lives today, as like standard of living, access to healthcare, access to technology, all that, all the stuff that we want, access to transportation, is better than we had in 1950. And so I continue to see that the standard of living, that people's lives are going to continue to get better and better over time, and the AI is really going to usher in this time of abundance. But I agree, there's going to be a period of transition that's going to be hard, and this is where I think we need good leaders in government, that people that can see this and can bridge the gap between where we're at today and this world of abundance that we're going to be getting to. I think that piece is critical. And when I have talked to Congress people, and I've literally asked people in Congress, like, who's thinking about this? What are you guys doing? Are there any bills that are going? And they're like, oh, I think there's this one Democrat that was talking about it because he wants UBI, but nobody else is even thinking about AI and job losses and like how we're going to transition and where, I told you before that I think that there's going to be basically a backdoor UBI without anybody ever passing a bill. And what I think is going to happen is, as we see more unemployment happening, people are going to go on unemployment insurance, and the government's going to be like, okay, cool. And then they're not going to find a new job. So they're going to say, just like they did during COVID, well, we're extending unemployment insurance. And then, some people are going to be like, that's great, but what about us that never had a job or fell through the cracks or whatever? I also want my unemployment insurance. And so they'll expand unemployment insurance to cover people who are looking for a job.
Right.
Right. And so, so I think that, and that's how the politicians will introduce UBI without ever having voted on UBI. That's kind of what I see, coming down the pipe. And it's not my ideal. It's not how I would, go about it. I think there's better ways to go about it, but I think that that's probably the path that's most likely to happen.
You said this years ago. You said you thought that one of the number one issues in 2026 was going to be UBI. You said it years ago. And I think you're right. It's going to be a big deal. People are going to be thinking, is this the right answer? Is it not? And I think before they come up with the answer, I think you're correct. They're going to backdoor it before they actually have the answer, right? It's going to be by default.
That's right. And we saw that during COVID. Like that was like in an emergency crisis where time is compressed and these people have to act, right? We see it over and over again. They're so incapable of doing anything reasonable, right? We saw it during the 2008 crash when everything is falling apart and it looked like the banks are going to go under. What do? They just print the answer. That's what the answer of the government does. They're like, crap, things are bad. Print more money. Print more money. That's all they did. That's their answer to everything. Is like, what we need to do in times of bad, just give everybody money. And that we'll pick up the pieces later. And then it's like, oh, if ever. Why do we have all this inflation? Why can't anybody afford anything anymore? Oh, it's because we printed $10 trillion out of thin air and expected it to not change anything. Right?
So how do we fix the fact that we printed $10 trillion? Print 10 trillion more. Done.
That's right.
Done.
The answer to inflation is create more inflation.
There we go. Exactly right.
But here's the thing: is we talked about deflation, right?
Right.
And so now we're going to have this competing kind of dynamic where government might be printing money at the same time that deflation is coming because AI is really reducing the cost of things. And so I think the economics of the next 5 years is just going to be really wild. And to your point is, I think that I was saying 2028, the number one thing for 2028 was going to be jobs.
Yep.
But I now think that we're going to see a lot of candidates in 2026 talking about jobs. I think that's going to start because I think there's going to be a lot. We saw 1.1 million layoffs in the last quarter or something. I don't remember the exact statistic, but a lot of layoffs, right? And if that trend continues, and there's also a whole bunch of studies that show where people are saying that they're fearful that they're going to get laid off. There's a X amount of people say that there's a 30% chance that they won't have a job at the end of the year. So there's a lot of fear in the employment marketplace right now. And when you have that, politicians have to listen to that or face the consequences of that. So, having a plan to figure out how to keep people employed, to find new jobs, to retool new jobs, I think that's all going to be very important.
Well, I think the person who taught us how to make this work, actually, believe it or not, is Javier Milei. And what I mean by that is the difference between Trump and Milei trying to make change. Trump did it the wrong way. Trump said, tomorrow, everything's going to be awesome. And the golden age starts today. And I'm going to end the war in 24 hours. And he was like, everything's going to happen today. Milei didn't say that. Milei was like, guys, this next year, going to suck. This is going to suck. this next year, you're not going to be happy. But give me a year and you're going to see the results. And he did it well to that hit. The Argentine people said, I'll buy it. They believed that it would take a year of pain, but then it would work. They believed him. They supported him. And he just won. His party just won the last election, even though it wasn't perfect. He had problems. He had issues, but 30% reduction in rent, right? More people, being able to have jobs, more people coming in and investing in the country. He's like, all right, look, I told you it was going to suck, but it's better. And they went, it's better. So what we're going to be worried about, to your point, is, are you going to have politicians or leaders who actually are honest and say, guys, what you just said, there's going to be disruption. This next year, you're not going to know which way is up. You're not going to know which way is up. Just accept that. But give me a year and you're going to know which way is up, right? If someone's going to be able to say that and get that out so the Americans go, I'm afraid, but I'm with you, right? I'll stand through this BS for a year. The problem is they've never fixed anything. So many people think, you've been telling me it's going to get better for years, and it doesn't get better.
Right. Yes. Elizabeth Warren said today that that the Democrats were going to make housing affordable for everybody.
Yep.
And I pointed out that the Democrats have held office, Congress and presidency and different states for the last 50 years, and they have yet to make housing affordable. Why is it suddenly that they're going to find a magic pill that's going to make that happen, right? It's like, government is not the solution. And I also reminded her that that the policies that she championed led to the 2008 financial crisis that we have.
Correct.
Because it basically, they're like, well, we got to give loans to everybody, even if they're not qualified for the loan. And yay, free money for everyone. Like we just said, the solution is just give money to everyone. That's the solution. That's super good and easy, right? So there's another thing that I wanted to kind of touch on, is that there's an alternative to the speed at which the AI is going to do these things is job loss. So one of the things that I realized is, I think we go straight to fear and we go, this is how it's going to be. And oh my God, it's going to be horrible or whatever kind of a thing. And what I'm hearing in the trenches of Silicon Valley and different businesses around is that big business is slow to change.
Yes.
Like you try to go into a big corporation, you try to change something, they're like, no, we're doing it the old way.
I got to tell you a couple of things to validate this. I'm a corporate trainer for my regular day job. 70%, between 65 and 70%, depending on the year, of all corporate change fails. That's how common it is. And the big boys like Boston Consulting Group and McKinsey, these guys are supposed to be change agents. They're not. You hire them to validate your bad plan. So I go, I have a bad plan. It's a hunk of garbage. But if I say that, I'll get in trouble. Hey, McKinsey, I'll give you $1 million if you come in, wait about 3 months, and then put a piece of paper saying how awesome my plan is. They go, deal. So they give you $1 million. They go, Larry, you're just amazing. Thank you for the money. You're amazing. Here's your great plan. Then it fails. And when it fails, they go, McKinsey. So anyway, keep going. I'm sorry. You're correct. I just want to give you a little story on that. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I heard a couple of stories about where these consultants were going into these companies and they're saying, oh, well, you need to retool for AI, or they brought them in and said, we want to retool for AI. And so they're like, okay, cool. Here's the things that you have to do. And they said, well, we started implementing it and our code is COBOL and it's archaic and it doesn't really mesh well with the new, and AI isn't trained on that stuff as well as it is on Python or new, whatever new code thing there is. So it's just too hard. So we're not going to do it. Right. And the reality of it is they could start over from scratch and have AI rebuild the company on the side, keep their legacy thing going until the new thing is up and running, and then just swap over. Right. But they're too stuck in like, we have to do it in this thing. Right. And so what this is doing is it's opening the door to all these other entrepreneurs that can be like, take that business, copy that business, do it better than they're doing it, write the code and do it better than they're doing it. And now I have a new business and I've nimbly outfoxed the big corporation. right?
Well, the funny part is we've seen this before, right? After World War II, the two nations that exploded when it came to manufacturing and everything were Germany and Japan. Why those two countries? Because their industry was bombed into the dust.
Yeah.
So everything they built was a brand new factory. They were cutting edge in everything because it was all gone, right? The Americans, we had all the old stuff. The Brits had all the old stuff. We weren't bombed into the ground. So they actually had an advantage by having the new stuff. So we watched this already happen. To your point, AI can build all the new stuff. Your old stuff's not required. I completely agree.
Yeah, that's 100% correct on that. It's and it, you know, we see that in AI right now. It's well, I lost the thought. So
no worries. I want to go to one other piece, which someone told me. I don't know how real it is. It sounds real. That's what I'm bringing to you. You tell me if it is real. It sounds real, and that is AI is going to have a problem coming up here soon, and the reason is there's not enough human data. That eventually AI absorbs all of human data, and it wants to keep growing, getting better, but there's none left. So what do? Do you make more data? Does it make its own data? Does it begin to hallucinate? Does it double down? What happens? Is that a real thing? Do you know if that's real or not?
It's 100% real, and that is the cutting edge of AI right now. And I like you're getting past my level of expertise, but I do know about this, and essentially they have run out of data to train the models, and so they essentially are having AI create synthetic data to train itself on.
That was my worry. Yes.
Yes.
That's synthetic data. Is that like alternative facts?
Well, it's kind of like, so here's an example of it. So they're trying to teach robots how to do the garbage or do the dishes or things like that. And they can put them all in a room with a bunch of garbage and dishes and have them train on the thing. Or they can create a virtual simulator.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
And they can just have all the garbage and the stuff not in a physical world. And then the AI basically trains and says, oh, I see that that's a piece of trash and I need to pick that up and I need to put that in the thing. And so they're training on basically virtual environments. And what's interesting about that is you can create the environment to whatever you can dream up in your mind that would cost, you know, insane amounts of money to create it in the physical world. But suddenly, you know, as an example, let's say you wanted to train a robot how to build a Airbus 595 or whatever, you know, whatever number the plane is. And instead of like having to spend all the money to have an actual plane, physical plane, you can just create it in a virtual environment and have the robot work on the plane in the virtual environment and learn all the things that it needs to do in order to fix the plane without having to touch it. And so the cost is dramatically cheaper because you don't have any physical world things to train off of. So that is for sure a thing. That is the cutting edge of AI right now, is how to continue to train these things when we already have all the knowledge of humanity into these things. And so I think, you know, that's probably where like the AGI gets from, is that it basically gets into its own infinite loop of training itself on new things that it comes up with and dreams up and that sort of thing. Because I mean, artificial general intelligence is going to require imagination. It's almost like the hallucinations are good. Right. Like you think about it, and I just put that piece in my mind, but it's almost like maybe that's AI imagining things. And maybe in order to be have sentience, have you know, upper level thinking, you have to be able to hallucinate and imagine, because how would you iterate if you couldn't think outside the box? Or, you know,
I have heard both sides of this. I've heard that, you know, we basically already got AGI and we're not there yet. Like we're just not, it's LLM. It's not AGI. It looks like AGI. It could sound like AGI, but it's not AGI. It's just mocking. It's LLM. It's not AGI. Where do you stand on this? Are we close? Are we there? Are we a million miles away? What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, so I think it's hard for you and I to know because we're not in the data centers and with the guys that are working on the cutting edge stuff, because it may be that they already created it and they're not letting it out of the box, because there would be a huge advantage to create AGI and then not release it to anybody else but yourself for a while.
Oh, got it. Right. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Like let's say you're Elon Musk and your passion is to get to Mars and you need $10 trillion to do it, whatever the number is. And you created artificial general intelligence that was so smart that it could beat the stock market.
Right.
Every day, all day, whatever, right? So you're like, do I give this to everybody in the world and democratize it so that everyone can have a chance to beat this? No, I get my $10 trillion first.
I get my 10 trillion first, then I do it. Yes.
And then I give it to the people, right? And
Right.
so I think that it could be here and we just haven't been, given that opportunity yet. As far as like, is it AGI in the world today? No, right now, no, not that's available to you and I. And I say that I will know. I was telling a friend of mine, I will know AI is there. Right now, I write a bunch of bots for different social medias. Right, I'm using AI to do just basic stuff, and it's still not able to do what I do. If I'm pretty good at social media, and if I put all my day's effort and energy into it, I can get millions of views on it, but it takes a lot of effort and energy on my part, and I don't really get much benefit out of it, so I don't want to do it that much. But if I could write a robot to do exactly all the things that I do, sound like me, post like me, find information like me, and spread liberty like I do, then I would totally do that, and that's what I'm working towards. But it's not there yet. So I will know when AI has reached the critical level is when I can tell AI, just build me and go do what I do so that I don't have to do it anymore. And when it reaches that, to me, that's going to be the critical, that's going to be the tipping point for me of where we've gotten to this place. Because there was, they have these benchmarks on AI. Every time they put out a new LLM, they run it up against 50, 100 benchmarks, and some of them are math and some of them are science and some of them are like writing. And one of the benchmarks is 40 professional jobs. How well can AI do 40 professional jobs? Right? And 2 or 3 weeks ago, AI was something like 25% of these 40 professional jobs. I think it was Gemini 3 that came out. I think it was Gemini 3. One of them just came out and basically blew that benchmark wide open, and it's now at like 60 or 70%.
Wow.
Right. And it does the job at 1/10 the time and at 99% reduced cost.
Wow.
And that's 40 professional jobs. And the jobs are things like technical writer, right? Or junior accountant, or junior lawyer, or anybody that pushes paper, anybody that does a rules-based system, those jobs are all, AI is ripe to take all those jobs, essentially.
Wow. Okay. Let me pop, if I could, I got a quick super chat here from Phil. He says, we have spotty internet in a lot of places in upstate New York. He says, do you think that satellite internet will allow for small internet service providers to pop up around New York? How would somebody do that?
I mean, really, that's what SpaceX is all about right now, is the satellite, and they own it. I mean, that's like 95% of those rockets. Every time they launch, SpaceX launches a rocket, they also send up 10, 12, 15 of these little Starlink satellites, right? And I was just, right before this call I got on, I saw that Starlink has given to all the schools in Bermuda free Wi-Fi satellite access so that all the kids can have full internet all the time, right? And there's no like incremental cost to SpaceX to give Wi-Fi to everybody. Like, I mean, they already put all the stuff up into space, right? And you saw that, like, I don't know if it was Grok one of the AI companies went into, I think it was El Salvador. I want to say it was El Salvador. It might have been Google. It might have been Grok, one of the companies. And they have given an entire education system, AI education system, to the country because the country doesn't have enough money to pay for teachers and to pay for stuff. So they're basically giving them free Wi-Fi and free education system, basically, that they're learning from. So I think that, you and I have talked about education before. I think that it's becoming pretty clear to me that it's going to be a small third world country, to your point of like, if you don't have the infrastructure,
right,
you get to just build it from scratch and do crazy stuff. So I think we're going to see leapfrogs from smaller countries where new kids are going to come in. They don't have any constraints on their brain of like, this is what I can do. And they'll be like, oh, here's the AI, and the AI teaches me from the time I'm 2, and now I'm a freaking super genius, and I'm like running the world from El Salvador.
Yeah. No, I think it could be someplace like, I mean, I think actually maybe even Africa. Yeah. It could be someplace like Mali or someplace 100%. Like that. Yeah. Right. That decides, you know what? We don't have a very good education system that's really entrenched. It's localized at best. We don't have a lot of infrastructure for it. We don't have a teachers union, so it doesn't really matter. Let's throw in whatever Elon Musk's thing of, 1 or 2 administrators, 1 or 2 teachers runs the entire thing. Yeah. And now this town needs 4 Mali people who are educated to run an entire system. And within 20 years, we got rocket scientists coming out of Mali left and right. Like every other kid's a goddamn rocket scientist out of Mali.
That's right. And I mean, I love that because the thing is when you're born, I mean, obviously people are born with different levels of intelligence. That's just kind of a thing. But all over the world, there's that standout individual. It doesn't matter what country you're from, where, like what. And so this AI thing is leveling the playing field. You don't have to be from a, major 7 country in order to become a successful superstar in the world. Right. And I love that it's democratizing across the entire planet, and you don't have to be a special privileged person in order to be successful. You just have to have that ambition and that drive to be one of those 5% that's willing to do the work.
This is the reason why I brought up the idea of having a fund, a sovereign fund, basically in New York State, that pays directly for education. Because if I pay directly into each school district of education with no state strings, with no federal strings, I'm guaranteed that there's going to be a couple of school districts that are utterly broken. Mm-hmm. I can think immediately some in Rochester. So Rochester in New York has some of the worst schools in the entire country, which will say, you know what, blow it all up and just put in whatever, Jeff Bezos's new thing or whatever, Lars Mapstead's new education center, whatever. Or maybe better, Ron Paul will have one. Maybe a Ron Paul education system. Put that into this because we got nothing, so we'll put it in. And then before you know it, Rochester school district, some of the worst, all of a sudden got Einsteins popping out left and right, and got new businesses popping out, new this popping out, new that popping out, all that stuff coming out everywhere. And some will fight. Some will be like, no, we want the old school, we want this. Yeah. And those that will fight will recognize we're behind, and they'll change. That's the reason why they can't change is because they have government strings. If you cut the government strings, to your point, competition will happen naturally.
That's right.
And then someone's going to be like, we're going all in AI. Some district. And I'm going to be like, okay, take your money, do it. You'll take your money. You won't buy teachers. You'll take your money and you'll buy software. You'll take your money and you'll buy, internet, or you'll buy whatever. You'll buy that kind of thing. Yeah. So I completely agree.
So I'll throw this idea in your head because it's kind of surfaced in the last week for me. I have a friend whose kid is, struggling with doing some drugs and like not hanging out with the wrong people and not doing super awesome. And
sadly common in today's world, but yes.
Right. And so, I grew up, I didn't finish high school. I didn't like school. It didn't suit me well. I felt bored. I felt like they weren't teaching me anything that was really that important. That
you weren't wrong.
I felt like I was being a cattle, basically shoved through a system that didn't care or didn't, and so I didn't like it. So I ended up just dropping out, but I could have gone to a continuation school, which a lot of kids go to the continuation school, right? But the continuation school has a bad rap because that's where all the kids that are doing that kind of thing end up.
Right.
And so
Right.
so it's almost like going to jail where you learn bad behaviors from other people.
Right.
You're just stuck with all the other people that are doing the same thing. And you need to be lifted up out of that so that you can, get your life changed around. Right. So I was thinking that continuation schools might be the perfect place for AI education to take hold, because a lot of these kids, they're like, I don't even want to go to the continuation school. I just want to stay home and watch TV and screw off or whatever. But you know what? I'd be willing to put in 2 hours a day, as long as it's like online and it's fun and it's engaging and I don't have to and I think that might be the place where we start to see AI really take hold in the education system. Offer all kids that are going to continuation school right now, some company, somebody needs to offer an education system that's an alternative for all those people to choose if they want to do that kind of system or not, right? And I think you'd get a lot of kids that would choose that. Some would still go to the other thing, but the outcome, you see the outcomes of those kids, and they're getting their lives back together. They're not, doing bad behavior anymore, and they're excelling beyond the kids that are in the regular school. And the parents are gonna be like, "What did you do to your kid?" And they're like, "Well, AI is teaching them." What? Oh crap! I need AI to teach my kid because otherwise my kid's gonna be behind.
Absolutely. And I would even add, you could do that for specialized programs for people who are coming out of prison.
Yep.
For people who are former addicts, for people who all these issues. And the problem is now, this is where you're going to see a fight, obviously. There's literally millions of people who are right now going back to get master's degrees. Because whenever the economy sucks, people think, oh, I got to go back and get it. I got to go to college.
Yeah.
And that is exactly the wrong answer. Utterly useless. They are throwing their money away. And they are. And they're going into debt. I'm sorry if you're right now getting a master's degree, but you are wasting your time right now. But if someone's watching right now, you are. They're gonna, because that master's degree is going to be useless in the next 5 years. It's going to be useless. Maybe the next 3.
Well, it's more about can you do the task?
Yes.
It's like having the master's degree doesn't prove that you can do the task, right? When I was running my companies, people would come to me and say, "Oh, I was from this, the school or that prestigious school," and I would be like, "Can you do the job?"
Yep.
If you can do the job, you're hired. and I'll tell you, the ones that always impressed me were the people that were out of the military.
Yep.
Because they were structured, and they knew the task, and they knew how to get to the task and do the task because that's what they were trained to do, right? It was like, you do the task. If you don't do the task, you're going to be doing push-ups and it's going to be bad for you, right?
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
And so they're get it done. And when you're in business, you need people. We action item people, right?
Yes.
People that actually do the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's important, because we can all sit around and talk about what we might do or what we should do or we could do. But again, it's that 5% of people that are willing to get up and actually do the thing that make all the money and make all the changes in society.
I remember when I was doing a lot of consulting in the tech world, this is probably around 2010 to 2015 in that area, 2015 in that area. All of the high-end tech joints, like the brand new places I was working with, like those types, every one of them, like a master's degree was a bad thing. If you had for some people, it was a no hire, like, oh, master's degree, garbage, master's degree, garbage, master's degree, garbage. So and people don't get it, because in big business and government, it still matters. But to your point, you and I are talking about, that's going to start going away. Mm-hmm. Government jobs are going to start going away.
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear that, but it's going to start happening. And as it goes away, all those credentials are going to mean nothing. People don't notice, but colleges already now are going out of business, left and right. Yep. Kids aren't going, colleges are going under left and right. College, I've been telling people college is dying since 2018, and no one's listening, and now they're dying.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
Yeah, I heard that recently too, is on a couple different angles, is that, education is not giving the outcome that's, for the investment, because you're investing in a certain outcome. And if you don't get that outcome, and if people see the class before them and the class before them not getting that outcome, why would you, any smart person to go, that's not going to work for me. Right. I love the AI education piece too. along with the continuation school kids, but you had also said this was people like with dyslexia, people with specialized learning disabilities that are smart people, but the current education system has no ability to handle them or help them or deal with them. And so they just lump them all together. And again, in a group of people that may not be the best group of people, right?
And force them through curriculum that isn't made for them.
100%. And what I love about AI is it's the ultimate class size.
Yes.
It's a class size of 1.
Yep. Perfect.
Full 100% dedicated attention tailored to you in the way that you learn, in the style that you learn, with things that interest you. I mean, it's going to be so good. And there's this other idea that we used to go to school to learn a certain skill, and then we'd go into the job and do that certain skill. Okay. But with AI, we have the ability to learn forever, every day, all day long. Right. And so it gets rid of that need to go to a school, because anytime I need to learn about something, I just go to AI and say, hey, teach me about this thing. Right. Or teach me about this concept. Right. And I think that's important. It's like Mark Cuban posted a thing today that said that the HSAs are a UBI. And I was like, how does that work exactly? And so I was curious. So I went to AI and I put it in there, and I'm like, what does this mean? Because I don't get it. And it was like, well, basically you get the HSAs, and because if you don't make a lot of money, then you don't pay taxes. And if you don't pay taxes, you can spend the HSA money on things that aren't HSA. There's a penalty for it, but you take a penalty for it. But then where his argument broke down was the HSA isn't funded by the government. The HSA is funded by you or your employer. So it's not really, but the concept was kind of interesting, but it didn't quite stack up. And that's where AI like works, because it teaches you, and it like gives you idea beyond whatever the talking head said. That you might have just been like, oh, he's right because he's smart and he's a billionaire. So I just, but no, AI can check it.
So, sorry, Osmond says, Larry and Lars had me excited. Oh, that's good. I desperately want fusion. But the truth is, just fission in thorium-enriched molten salt reactors will be a free pony of energy if it's allowed to happen. And I think that's the point that I'm bringing up. And I think the point that Lars is bringing up too, if we just let this happen and open it up to more of a free market, a lot of cool stuff is going to happen. So I think it's going to happen. Yeah.
It's, it's people that I talk to are very concerned about environment and about all the like water usage from AI and the carbon footprint of AI and all that kind of stuff. And I keep telling them, I'm like, look, it's my belief that AI and technology will solve those issues. Right. And they're like, oh, I don't know, it's like, corporations are bad and they won't solve things and won't fix things. And I'm like, well, capitalism that's not cronyism is really good. And so then I started sending them these articles about space AI data centers. And I'm like, it doesn't use water. It doesn't destroy the land. It doesn't have a carbon footprint. You do have a carbon footprint, obviously, from the rocket that shoots the thing up into the air. Right. But it's like, here is capitalism solving the problem that government was never going to solve.
Never going to solve.
Ever. They weren't going to greenify the system. They would just basically like print money and tax people and give special tax favors to people in order to get the outcome that they want, to pick winners and losers. And it's that whole thing going back to the campaign, is that we don't want government picking winners and losers. Right. Because we want the market to pick the winners and losers, because the market will pick the best outcome and they won't have favoritism to people that don't deserve it, basically.
Absolutely. D says school teachers right now should walk away from government schools and go open micro schools with maybe 10 kids per teacher. That teachers should know AI and have avatars to teach them. I think she's 100% correct. You're going to find wealthy people moving towards that already. Is that happening already? Yeah. And when wealthy do it, everyone should be doing it. I completely agree. And you could do it now very easily, cheaply. A school teacher could get maybe one admin person that they know as a friend or as someone they've worked with, and one teacher. You go put them in micro school together, both of them together, and they could charge a small amount of money per month, and they can make enough money using AI to survive and do well. Easily they could. No doubt they could. Micro schools, think about it. If you had 10 kids per teacher and you charged, I don't know, $400 a month per kid, I'm making that number up, right? That's $4,000 a month that you bring it in to do one. What if you have 2 or 3 schools? Now you're starting to get more and more and more.
Yeah.
You can just keep rocking and rolling.
There is already a thing called Alpha School.
Okay.
And they have one in New York. They have one in San Francisco, one in New York, a couple other places. And it's basically like homeschooling via AI.
There we go.
And one of the founders of OpenAI, can't remember his name right off the top of my head. He quit OpenAI, went to work for somewhere else, and then quit there. And his entire work focus right now is disrupting the entire education system with AI. And I think he's a billionaire, so I think he has the resources to do it. And there's a bunch. If you just look up AI schools, you'll see that there's lots and lots and lots of entrepreneurs working on this issue. And I think the outcome is going to be absolutely amazing. The choices, look, it's what we've always said. We need competition against government schools so that the government schools sharpen themselves and become the best thing that they can be, right? And if that competition is so good that it puts them out of business, I'm happy with that, because guess where majority of property tax goes? 63% of California, the property tax that I pay, goes to paying for public education.
Yep, about 50% in New York State, about 50%.
If I could reduce that by 75% and have a better outcome with students that are happier, to your point, happy people don't do bad stuff, that are happier, that are more well-rounded, that are better educated, why wouldn't I push for that? And why wouldn't everybody in society push for that, right? The only people that are going to be pushing back is the unions and the school teachers that won't have their jobs, and the complete overbloated administration, right? But I think that there's going to be a need for teachers to teach things that AI can't necessarily easily teach. Empathy, human interaction, how to behave with people, right? How to have not inflated egos, how to be a helper, and that sort of thing. I think that that's going to be good. I mean, we've all had a teacher who, whatever the subject might have been, helped us in our lives, touched us in a way that wasn't about education, but was about teaching us how to be a human, a better human. And so I think there's going to be lots of teachers that are going to teach us how to be a better human.
Well, there's also, I think, a thing in general, right? We've done this. There are literally thousands of ways of a person entertaining themselves, right? From books to video games to movies to music to whatever whatever AI stuff, whatever. So many ways you entertain yourself, right? Go out and play sports. I mean, so many things you could do, driving, traveling, so many things. And we still, since, I don't know, ancient Egypt, we still will pay money to go watch people do stuff. We want to watch people do stuff, whether that is playing music or playing sports or on a stage dancing or singing or acting. Broadway still exists.
That's right.
And you can absolutely go Netflix, or you can AI it, and people still want to pay to go see people do stuff.
Yeah.
That never ends. And that's why I think teaching will be shrunken, but there'll still be teachers. People will still want a teacher to go say, hey, go do that. Look, or even do this. Well done. Or you screwed that up. You got to fix this, no matter what. So I think we'll still need a teacher or two. We just won't need 100.
Yeah. I think in certain way, if you think about it, religious figures, people that you look up to, those are teachers too. They're not teachers in an academic sense, but people have all kinds of teachers to help them, guide them through life. I think you and I talked about before that one of the biggest things, and the most important things, I think, in this conversation even today, is that people need to understand what their purpose is. That and in the age of AI, it's going to be even more critical to have a purpose and to wake up each day knowing what your purpose is and moving towards that goal of whatever that purpose is, right? And maybe your purpose is just to leave the world a better place than it was, before you started the day, right? Like it can be as simple as that. But people need to have a purpose. And I think, we put the purpose on our job. Like this is my job, so that's my purpose. But if people aren't working as much, what is your purpose, right? So I even asked, I had a long conversation with AI and said, what does the average people think that their purpose is, right? And most people, there was like, I don't know, 40% of people thought job was their purpose.
Yes, of course.
Right? And so if they're, but the thing is we have a good idea of what happens for this because everybody retires at some point from their job. And they have to now find a new purpose in retirement. And this is I know as a coach, this as well, that people struggle with trying to find out what their purpose is.
Absolutely.
But most people navigate it after 6-9 months. They figure out, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing in my retirement. I'm supposed to take care of my grandkids, or I'm supposed to help out the library, or whatever it is that people do. Right. But I think, it's really a critical thing in and this is a piece of that transition. And this is a piece that I think that that government really should be like, it's just an education piece is like, we need everyone to understand what their purpose is. Right. And I think America does better when we all have a directional purpose.
Sure.
Like World War II is like, we're fighting the people. And so everybody's got to get together and we're going to put all the factories together at this one purpose, this one goal, and we're going to kick ass and we're going to do the thing. And it's
going to the moon.
That's right. And so that's why I think I still like the energy race. Like we're as a group going to figure out fusion reaction. Like that's the goal of America, because that will help. I think fusion is bigger than the discovery of fire for mankind. Honestly,
I agree with you.
It's so changing the trajectory of mankind that's like, if I could pick one thing that we all focused on, it would be like solving fusion. I think it would it's such a game changer because it makes everybody happier.
There we go.
It's such a game changer.
I'm grab a couple if I could. Missy says, I have no idea what my purpose is. I do, to support me. So that's your purpose. Don't stop. I like that. It's your purpose. I'm still here.
Oh, man. I love Missy.
Don't leave me, Missy. Don't leave me, Missy. That's correct.
She's just a great person, and I love that, and I think.
And you can't have her, Lars. Hands off. She's mine.
Yeah, I think but I think it's good. It's a interesting thing. I've been asking all my friends, like, do you know what your purpose is? Mostly because I'm curious what their answer is. I'm trying to find somebody that tells me something that's so outside the box that just clicks in my brain and but like, oh, that's such a good one. Like, I know all the normal ones, but they don't click with me for a lot of reasons. Right. And it's like a lot of people's purpose comes from religion. Like that's a purpose. A lot of people's purpose is family and friends, like just making sure that everybody's like connected and happy and that sort of thing. But it's really interesting when I find people that have a very specific calling, a very specific purpose that just drives their life. And you can see that people that have that lead a much more excellent life than anybody else, because it's like they wake up in the morning and they know exactly what they need to do. Right. Yep. And they enjoy doing every moment of it. And I hope that that every individual on the planet can find a purpose that drives them and makes them just super excited and happy to wake up and do life. I mean, that would be my dream for humanity, is that we all find a purpose that just really fixes us and makes us happy.
So nice. Chuck says people want to watch stuff live, like Broadway, because we are social creatures. He's not wrong. That's true. D says, what a great conversation today. Thanks, Lars, for doing this with Larry. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Absolutely. So I want to go, excuse me, one more piece if I could. Guys, if you haven't clicked the like button, why do you hate the children? That's what you're saying. Love the children. Click the like button. All right. If you don't click the like button, you hate the children. Stop hating the children. Click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. It moves this forward. Please do so. If you haven't reposted this, please repost it. If you haven't subscribed or followed the page or channel you're watching, you really hate children. You hate dogs. You kick puppies if you don't do that. So please do that. Stop kicking puppies. You're not that mean. So do that. Share this. It does matter. But last, remember, guys, this is a fundraiser also. I showed you that we have real issues. We talk about real stuff. We try to have real issues and real policies and ways to fix things. You don't get this anyplace else. No other governor candidate would do 2 hours talking about this. That does not exist. I'm the only one who would do this. Nobody else would. Keep that in mind. I'm talking about stuff that really matters. How do you help me out? Donate. If you live in New York State, please donate between $5 and $250. If you do that, I can get matching funds. So, excuse myself, a little bit of a cold. Please donate between $5 and $250. That can be matched. How can you do that? Give me $5 a month. Give me $100 a month. Give me $25 a month. In fact, no, $25 a month. Do that. $25 a month. Do that for the next 12 months, 10 months. That's $250. Perfect. Do that. $25 a month for 10 months. Do that. And we can get matching funds. Matching funds means New York State will write me a check for $3 million. I'm not joking. I'm not making that up. That's not me playing around. If I get 5,000 New Yorkers to give me $500,000, an average of $100 per person, New York State will write me a check for $3 million, like they wrote a check for Mamdani for $12 million. Not joking. That's what actually happened. Gave him $12 million. That's why he's the mayor in 2 weeks for that. They give me that kind of money, brothers, sisters. I am the governor of New York if that happens. I'm not joking. I'm the governor of New York. How do I know that? Elise Stefanik just ran out of the race yesterday because she knows she couldn't win. Yes, she knew she couldn't win. I told you she was going to drop. Remember last week I was talking about Elise Stefanik dropping so I could win? Well, she heard me and she did. So now we can jump on board right now. Now is the time to do so. If you don't live in New York State, please still give. Please still give as much as you possibly can. Why? Because that will get me to use Facebook, emails, all the things I possibly can, text messages, so I can get New Yorkers, give me that money so I can make matching funds. You might go, Larry, I don't live in New York State. Why do I care? Because what happens in my state comes to you. You can guarantee that. I want you to think what will happen. If Mamdani, the socialist, is the mayor of New York, and then Larry Sharpe, a libertarian, is the governor of New York, it changes the entire world overnight. It changes the entire world overnight. Nosy says, I just want to say, Larry, I've not seen you so excited and enthusiastic as that live announcement last night. I want to see lots more of those because last night was the first domino. That's everything's falling right into place. I told you all that Stefanik did not want to run. I told you she wanted a cakewalk. And once it wasn't a cakewalk, she walked away. I told you she would, and she did. I'm like always right. So just listen to me. I'm right this time now. We can win this stuff. It does matter. Guys, thank you so much. Lars, before we wrap this up, anything you want to bring up?
Well, I just, what I've been working on from the campaign is basically, and you know this. In fact, we ran ads for you. Basically, I'm running a nonprofit voting rights foundation, and Voting Rights Foundation is focused on ending gerrymandering, creating equal ballot access for all candidates, regardless of party or affiliation, proportional representation. And another thing that I've been really kind of working on is, did you know that primaries haven't always been a thing? That they're a relatively new thing to American politics? I had no idea. I just figured, primaries, they've been around all my life. So I just assumed that's how we've done things since day one in America. But no, for a long time, we didn't have primaries. And I got to thinking, wow, politics would be so much better if we didn't have primaries. We just had a general election.
You got during World War II, the people, they still were, the Democrats, Republicans were still picking their candidates via convention.
Yeah.
That happened through the 60s. They were picking candidates at conventions through the 60s.
Yeah. And since I was born in 1969, I didn't remember any of that stuff. And so I just, the thing is that we should not, as taxpayers, be paying for private corporations' internal elections. It is just, it's insane to me that they have convinced the people that we should pay for their own internal elections. And we're not talking little money. Like the Democrat convention got $30 million for security on the taxpayer's dime. And I'm like, why am I paying for that? I don't, No, I don't want to pay for that. And so, what we're doing is we're educating people across the country. We're telling stories of people who have been marginalized and have been screwed by the system, like yourself in New York, where they changed the rules mid-election and changed the amount of signatures you had and how you had to do it. I just spoke with a guy in Michigan who collected 15,000. Oh, he collected 24,000 signatures for his 15,000 signature threshold. And he was running as a Democrat, and the Democrats sued him because he put a P.O. box on the petitions instead of his address. But when he filed his address, so they knew what his address was, and it didn't say you couldn't put a P.O. box there. But they sued him, and the judge, look, as you well know, when you are screwed by the system, by one of the two parties to get you off of the ballot, your remedy is to go before the judge. Well, who appoints the judge?
Yes,
the party that's in control that's trying to sue you off the judge. So
correct.
You're basically just going into a room that's against you and is not going to rule in your favor, because if the judge rules in your favor, they're not going to get appointed to the next level of judgeship, right? And so it's all corrupt. And that is,
it's almost like this system is rigged.
It's almost like that. Who would have thought that would be the case, right? So Voting Rights Foundation, you can go to votingrights.com. We got that domain, and you can see what
votingrights.com.
Votingrights.com. You can see what we're up to there. Follow us on social media. What we're doing right now is we're building an army of activists that will go out and will champion changes for ending gerrymandering. So we're letting that's a big thing in states all over the country right now, right? California did gerrymandering in Prop 50.
Yes, I remember.
Texas did gerrymandering. Everybody was upset about. Florida's right now currently doing gerrymandering. Indiana just had a vote on gerrymandering and it was shot down last week.
Nice.
So all these states are doing this, and it's gerrymandering basically silences voters, right? It causes them not to have a voice in America. And when people don't have a voice, and they don't feel like they're represented, they lash out. And that's why we see a rise in political violence. So the Voting Rights Foundation's mission is to change elections to become more competitive so that we stop political violence in America, because we loathe violence and we do not like to see violence ever among any people. It's outrageous, and it shouldn't be done, especially political violence.
There we go. I appreciate that, brother. I do appreciate that tremendously. Lars, thanks, brother, for coming. I really appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.
Guys, everybody here who's been watching, I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate you guys coming up and donating and supporting. It really does matter tremendously. I'm going to be off tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. I will see you all very soon.